Good morning, everybody. It's great to have you here on a Saturday morning, and I do hope that this first webinar by GemAtlas, which incidentally also is my first webinar, is going to bring you some interesting features that will help you to improve your business and participation in the trade shows all over the world. We all know that trade shows are a big part of our marketing tools right now, and which probably cover a major chunk of our budget. However, we do not always maximize our returns from trade shows, and that is what this presentation and webinar hopes to achieve. I am now going to log on and take you through the presentation, which should take us about 45 minutes. At the end of it, you can ask questions which you can type onto your screen, and you will see a button where it shows raise your hand. If you raise your hand, I will know that you are trying to ask a question or that you want some clarification from me, and I will be more than happy to answer you as best as I can. Having said this, let's start with my first ever webinar. Before that, I would like to tell you a little bit about GemAtlas. GemAtlas is a portal that has been designed to connect the gem and jewelry industry. It hopes to coordinate and connect everybody, not only the main people in the trade, all through the pipeline, right from diamond miners to jewelry retailers, but it also hopes to connect everybody else who is involved in the gem and jewelry industry, whether as a service like the Angadiyas or the couriers or the clearing agents, or students and teachers who help to grow the industry and are the future of the industry, really speaking, and also ancillary services that you need, like tours and travels, like people who would take care of your office, people who would give you office supplies. So everything you need pertaining to the gem and jewelry industry and to run your business more efficiently is available on this portal. I think you can see my presentation. Small mode. Okay. So, what is the show participation and what is the effective tool is what we are going to be all about. What is the root of trade shows? Trade shows actually started in the marketplaces of Egypt and Persia, and they are still prevalent today. It is not that the trade shows there have stopped. In fact, if you go to Egypt or Persia even today, you will see that those marketplaces are actually the predominant way of doing business there. Even at the B2C level, those marketplaces are really like the old-time malls. But trade shows really became important during the Industrial Revolution. There was a spurt of manufacturing. New manufacturing methods were all coming into place, and increased technology at every phase needed that this new manufacturing methods, these new technologies, and hence new products be brought to market in the most economically efficient way. The markets needed to expand as technology became available. As new manufacturing methods became available, there were more and more people who were manufacturing larger quantities, which really a domestic market or a local market alone could not cater to. And therefore, we needed to be able to approach many more customers in a much more economical way. Selling became a prime target, and even today it is sales that dominates a business. At the end of the day, whether it's an Apple who makes a product which is unique, that's what happened when they came out with the iPhone. They needed to market the product because it is only volumes in today's times that can really make a business succeed. So trade shows are both nationally and internationally very, very important. And trade shows, as I said before, is the most cost-effective way to do business. But it is true only when used properly. Like any other tool, any other marketing tool, if not used properly, it is a waste of time and your return on investment will be minimal. What is it about trade shows that makes it cost effective? The first is that the traditional sales approach is reversed. Previously, it was the manufacturer or the seller who would approach the customers, as you can see in the sketch on the left. And therefore, there was a big limitation as to how many people you could go out and reach in their offices or in their shops. This traditional approach is reversed when it comes to trade shows. You have people coming to you, and the best part of it is that the customer that comes to you is actually a self-selected and a targeted customer. Trade shows are generally category based, and therefore if there is a jewelry trade show, people who come there are the ones whom jewelry is interesting to. They are the ones who are there to buy, and therefore your target audience is really focused and important. The lower cost is because too many people come to you at one time in one location. If you were to try and approach all those customers individually, you would probably not be able to connect with even 10% of those people if you were to go to their offices. And therefore, the trade show approach is something that is very important and something that one must look into. Also, research shows that on an average, the cost of sales is more than double that of a trade show lead. The reason is that you have to travel very often with your line, with your merchandise, which is difficult. In the case of jewelry, it is risky. In the case of machinery, it is bulky. There are a lot of reasons because of which you cannot really travel with your entire trade line. I was talking to a friend of mine just yesterday, and we were talking about the IIJS show. Now, he carries a huge inventory, which is impossible for him to carry to any personal meeting. And therefore, having a booth at the trade show where he can carry the inventory to that one location, which is secure, which is easy for him to manage, will let him show his entire range of product to those customers. If he were to visit the customer, he'd probably go with what, 1/10 of that inventory? And if it is a customer who is one based in Bangalore and another in Chennai and another in Kathmandu, it is impossible for him to travel to all those customers even during one whole calendar year. That is really the importance of a trade show. Besides this, I think the important thing is that most leads that come to trade shows are the decision makers. Because the decision makers know that they can reach a place and access multiple vendors. Now look at the other side. You have multiple customers coming. The exhibitor has multiple customers coming in, and therefore he has the choice of vendors. He can select as many vendors as he wants. He can negotiate prices. He can compare prices, and therefore be able to get the best deal. This is what makes decision makers come to the trade show, and their time entirely worth the whole thing. The cost of conversion is actually 5:1 for a trade show lead. Though I would debate that figure, this is what research shows, I would believe it is more in today's times, like 10:1. Even at 10 times the cost, you would not be able to target and meet that many customers in one shot. And a trade show gives you standout marketing opportunities. You make more sales contacts in 1 hour at a trade show than you would do in 2 days on the field. Grossly wrong. Today, with global trade, you would not be able to make that in 2 months on the field. That is the amount of people you can meet in 1 hour at a trade show. And therefore, I think now we understand why trade shows are a standout marketing opportunity. What are the interesting facts about trade shows? I think the first thing is that everybody who comes there is coming in a buying mood. If he was not interested, either to buy in the short term or the long term, I don't think anybody comes to trade shows for a walk. In fact, the amount one walks in a trade shows, I think there is an ancillary business there for people who can create some special shoes which don't tire up your feet. I call them show walkers. Also, it has been proven that more than 50% of the leads that you receive at trade shows do finally convert to sales. That is very, very important. A lot of people there come to see what's new. And as I said before, the industrial revolution and new technologies is what really brought trade shows into the forefront. And people come there to see what's new, because what is new is going to help them grow their business. And therefore, if you have something new, come up with it at a trade show. If you're participating in a trade show, do make sure that you come up with something new. That is going to be the differentiator. That is going to call a showstopper. More than 1/3 of the attendees are generally first-time attendees. They realize over time, people realize over time that trade shows is something that is interesting. And more than 1/3 of them are first-time attendees. Let me warn you here that those new attendees are not, I repeat, they are not always decision makers. A lot of time, people who are still coming up the ladder decide to attend trade shows so that they know how to address their superiors at meetings within the organization itself. A lot of people come to see specific companies. Why? Because they too realize that the companies that they deal with also do not have the capacity or the probability of coming to them with every single product that they make. And therefore, coming to a trade show, even to meet companies you're already working with, makes one hell of a sense. And practically everybody who comes there, you have not been able to connect with them in the past year. All these facts tell us that trade shows are a must for a business, whether established or growing. And we need to therefore look at trade shows with much more interest, with much more strategy, and with much more future trading methods. It is a very effective marketing tool. To summarize, it is the reversal of the traditional seller-customer approach. There is a self-selected audience. Yeah, a lot of them are invited by the participants, but then for you, they become a bonus. Decision makers are the attendees, and if treated well, if followed up well, the trade show goes way beyond the duration. The 4 or 5 days of this trade show is just a starting point. That visiting card you get there, that meeting of even 10 minutes that you hold there, becomes your foot in the door, and you can go on developing that relationship over a period of time. Therefore, your return on investment at a trade show continues to build way over the 5 days that you are really participating in a trade show. What is the modern approach to a trade show? Traditionally, it was goodwill that made sales. Specifically, if we talk of the diamond industry, we all know that traditionally business was done only with known people. Business was done mainly on trust. But now we all know that we need to go beyond that. We need to have a much larger customer base for multiple reasons. you may not want to expose or put all your eggs in one basket. You have products which are varied, which one customer alone cannot consume, and therefore you need a wider audience to your product. So sales has become a big focus. Considering today's times, survival is critical. We know from stories we hear from friends in the industry that survival today is a tough task, whether it is for the diamond merchant, whether it is for the jeweler, or whether it is for the retailer. Survival is the theme today. And strong, intelligent marketing is the need of the day. And where else can you check your competition as easily as a trade show? Exhibitors, do slot out a time when you will walk the show. Find out what your competitors are doing. Find out what are the new things that you could use in your business. It is intelligent marketing today. In the same way, it is intelligent product development today that is the need of the day. And the economic growth, especially post the 2008 session, has been quite a challenge. We all know what we are going through. Some of us are pretty much just making ends meet, even with huge sales. And therefore, every marketing rupee we spend today has to produce results. If we are not getting enough results from the marketing rupee that we spend, that rupee is wasted. And therefore, trade shows are something that you need to attend even if you are not participating. What is intelligent marketing? Intelligent marketing is most evident in startups at the trade show. They showcase new product to a large focused audience, and they bring the product into limelight without massive spend to compare with the biggies. The competition with the biggies is always a difficult task for a startup. If you have a product that is unique, that is new, you need to show it to the people. You need to let them know. Marketing and new product advertising. I remember the hoardings I see all over Mumbai put up by some company that winking at a girl in the dark is useless. You know you are winking, but the girl doesn't see you. So if you have a new product which has unique features, but the world doesn't know about it, it's useless. You are the only one who knows about it, and how good is it? So you need to be able to get to a target audience. What better place than to have it at a trade show? If we take the IIJS, and which is actually the reason why we are holding this at that time, because we know that on top of everyone's mind right now is the IIJS. The jewelry show in India, which is by far the biggest and most important jewelry show. It is expected that approximately 25,000 people attend the trade show. And let's face it, even if just 1% of that is your target audience, do you think you will be able to meet 250 people very easily over the next 6 months? Doubtful. But here, you are going to meet them under one roof with your entire collection and at a time when business is easiest to start. With the selling season coming up, everybody is looking to buy. Every visitor who comes to the show has his wallet with him where he's willing to pull out the big bucks and put them into his business. And therefore, trade shows are the place where you should start. Also, trade shows is a real-time environment. It brings everybody under one roof, whether it's the manufacturers, the distributors, the representatives. They are all customers there who are with you and who want to buy your product. Also, it's the best place, as I said, even for decision makers, to get hands-on information on the newest and latest developments in the industry. It may not be only as far as products are concerned. It may be some sales and marketing strategy that a manufacturer is developing which can benefit a retailer or a distributor. It can be general news about the trade. When you network, when you fellowship with people from the trade at trade shows, and there are ample opportunities to do that, you will get information that is general, not product related, but by sure industry related. You will get to know your industry much better. Also, such multi-level interaction fosters creativity and growth. You in 5 days will get feedback from the many retailers who come to you from various geographical areas, using very different kinds of material into their product, on what the future holds and what you can do to make sure that you get your share of that wallet in the future. So creativity and growth are very important, and a great opportunity to open your eyes and your mind to the future growth of your business. How does one maximize investment? Today it is all about investment, and people are very worried about the returns that they get on their investment. I would believe that most companies today, at least the manufacturing end, who are dealing at the B2B level, spend as much as 50% of their total advertising and marketing budget on trade shows. The number of trade shows is huge, and you need to take part in different trade shows for different target audiences, for different products. And why are people spending so much money on the trade shows? For the simple reason, as we mentioned before, it gives you the broadest possible exposure. It gives you access to the widest audience, and as a very specific audience, and it gives you far more sales opportunities than direct marketing. If you're doing direct marketing through email or flyers, trust me, a lot of them go straight into the trash box, whether virtual or physical. But when you meet somebody at a trade show and he sees your product, very importantly, in jewelry, he feels your product and he meets you personally, that is a great starting point for a business relationship. And therefore, a trade show, you need to build a strategy, you need to build a plan, and you need to make sure that you are going to get the best out of any trade show you participate in. You are investing not only time and money, you are investing your future in a trade show. And therefore, to maximize your returns, you need to plan all your activities before, during, and after. And therefore, we are going to go through some of those things now. The first thing you need to do is to plan your merchandise. Merchandise does not consist of only getting the right product mix, but also selling this at the right place, in the right quantities, and at the right price. If you were to put VVS goods in our parlance into a shop in Kashmir, do you think you're going to get business? No. So you need to put those kind of goods in a market that demands, expects, and is ready to pay for that kind of quality. Let's go one step further. Merchandising intelligence. You need to plan solutions up to the store level. Let us agree today that selling today is not just about delivering product to the retailer. You need to become their partner. Okay, I'm not talking of financially, but in thought, in process, in helping to grow his business. Because at the end of the day, only if the retailer sells to the consumer are you going to manufacture and sell to the retailer. So it's intelligence on everybody's part to look at both upstream and downstream. You need to look at downstream because you need to be intelligent. You need to know what kind of merchandise your customer needs to satisfy his customer, the consumer. At the end of the day, that is the end of the pipeline. That is the real business that is done. If you sell to a retailer now, but he cannot move the goods forward, it's a one-time sale. But if you help him to grow his business by his selling the goods out of his showcases, it is a recurring business. And that's what we all need. The product mix must relate to the financial brand, to the brand strategy, and to the space plans. You cannot expect a customer to devote all his space. That is his asset. It is the showcases that is his asset. And he is going to calculate how much sales and profits he gets out of every square feet of display that he has within his shop. So you have to help him plan solutions right up to the store level, and therefore study the demographics of his customers. You need to look up the pipeline, because that is what is going to give you new opportunities, new products that you will be able to create and offer to your customers in the future. We need to constantly innovate. I think one of the biggest drawbacks of our industry is lack of innovation. And this kind of market intelligence is going to direct you in the right direction for innovation. So we talk of product merchandise. Equally important is visual merchandising. Because if you have very well visually merchandised your product within your booth, it gives the retailer an idea of what it's going to look like in his shop. And like in other things, WYSIWYG, what you see is what you get. WYSIWYG is very, very important. If I can see what the product is going to look like, how it is going to look like in my store, it's easier for me to visualize it in my store. So your booth should be able to tell them that story. Also, we tend to see a lot of merchandise that is identical. Okay? A leaf going from left to right or a leaf going from left to right is not really big difference. Your product has to stand out, and therefore, even if the product is identical, the visual merchandising can make a big difference. A successful exhibitor is the one who makes profitable use of the space in the booth. Just like a successful retailer is one who has merchandised and used the space in his shop very well to draw out customers. At times we look at creating a unique creative booth, but it doesn't conform to what the customers want. That is a waste. I would prefer that you use your creativeness in creating product that the customer wants, and then build the booth around that customer and product. It is important to be original. Avoid boredom. If you are walking through a show and you see the same product and the same kind of windows one after the other, you may not even realize that you are walking from one company to another. Make sure that you are different. Make sure that your product is different. If the product is not excitingly different, make sure your display is different. After all, sales is not only a question of product. Make sure that your collection is aspirational. Make sure that your display, your visual merchandising conveys that fact that it is aspirational. Let's take Zara. Zara advertises and has their booth and their show windows in their shops, which are so original, so creative, that it would make you want to walk in. But at the end of the day, you are going to buy a maybe €10 or a €20 t-shirt. But you feel good about it. Because what the person sees is how you have displayed the window and how That window was making me feel good, making me feel important, making me feel big. It's the same with a Cartier. A Cartier always advertises their signature pieces. But what is it that Cartier sells most? It's probably the $100 silver pendant or silver keychain. So, it's not always about selling the big product, but it's about making the consumer want the product. And that is why a Cartier or a Zara exhibit their best pieces. Make sure that the windows are so attractive that you'd want to stop and look. And use various methods to make sure that your showcase looks the best. And one of the most important facts is lighting. I cannot emphasize that more. It increases sales by up to 20% when your lights are actually designed and put up in a way that the customers want to look. Another important thing is the props that you use. Make sure that the props are really something that make your product stand out. Sorry. Let not your props be overshadowing your product. A lot of times people try to make the windows so fancy that for searching for that real piece of jewelry in there becomes difficult. Also, the prop should always match the theme of the product or collection or brand that you are displaying. Don't start your planning process with the booth. Actually, that should be the last item. Because the booth is a tool that should be designed based on the goals that you want to achieve at the trade show. The visual designs, the lights, the windows, the colors, the props, they are all tools. But you have to make sure that you get the tools right. So once you have visual merchandising that is best, put it in your product merchandising, Once you have a product merchandising that is good and you realize that you have a winner, put it in the best place in your booth. It will increase the demand for your merchandise. It will make people walk in. And if you're testing a new line, be sure to put it in a prime area. A tip, if you're testing a new line, make sure that there is somebody standing next to the line who knows enough about it and who can gauge and ask the right questions of the person visiting you about his reactions, his opinions on the new line. This is very, very important. Your display should tell a story. If you see the pictures below, the clutter of gold jewelry, which is how most of us tend to do it, do you think this really tells a story, or do you think this is going to interest the customer? No. Don't create a clutter. Put enough, and trust me, a lot of times less is more. Okay, so don't just say you want quantity, you want quality. You want it to go off in the right way. You have to promote the event. Whatever show you are planning in, you have to promote it. It's not easy, but it's important. And trust me, if you're using the modern technology and the modern benefits available to you by internet, it's not expensive. Send out emails. Make phone calls to the important customers. Use social media extensively, especially with a product like jewelry. Don't just use Facebook and Twitter. Use Pinterest, use Instagram, where you can post pictures, where you can show to the people what kind of jewelry you have. And of course, mail everybody. Your key customers, personally. Your primary targets, personally. Don't just send out general emails to these people. They like it when you know and when you make sure that you tell them that you are important to them. Distribute entry passes to your targeted customers. I know that's an expense. And I know that you, by inviting him, you're going to send him to other people. But if you're really good, if your product is good, if your services are good, Let him come and check out how much better he is than working with other competitors. Yeah, why not? If you're good, tell them, let them check it out and confirm that you're good. Spell out the benefits in all your promotions. What new products they have. Have your designers and technical teams on hand to answer their questions. This will save a lot of trouble and expense of visiting your factory or your team visiting them at their shop. So these are the things that are, well, these are not rocket science, okay? These are things we know about. I think the main thing that I'm trying to do is to make sure that you understand and get everything in one shot. Design the emailers to get response. I know it's difficult. In India, we don't tend to do that. I know at a trade show, quite often, appointment times cannot be kept. But even then, scheduling an appointment makes it easier for everybody. So have reply cards. Well, now you don't even need a card. All you need is a button. Click on the button and you can set up an appointment. Okay. Confirm the appointment. Once you receive it, confirm it prior to the show. Maybe 2 days before that person is supposed to come. Prepare your appointment sheets. Prepare agendas for the appointment. So you know and you're conveying to the customer that you are important to me, and before you came in, I have taken the trouble of studying what you need, what we did last year, what are the challenges you faced with us, what are the challenges I faced with you. At the end of the day, if you want to build a relationship, it has to be both ways. If you're working with a customer who thinks he's God and that you don't matter, trust me, that customer is wrong for you. So you both need to be sure that you're working with each other and not any other way. Provide planning pads with your company logo. This is a great way to advertise. The planning pads will last him maybe 6 months, maybe a year, depends how many you give him. But those planning pads are going to keep you and your company on the top of his mind every time he's scribbling something, maybe even about a competitor. So these are small things that can go a long way. What do you do during the show? One of the most important things, be on time for appointments. I understand, but as a seller, as a participant at a show, the onus is on you. Be available at the booth for the appointment and do not have social gatherings in your booth. Yes, if the show is slow, social gatherings tend to increase, but then try to stay away from it. Learn and teach your team to recognize the right customer. Very, very important. You don't want to waste your time meeting people who are not important. And your team also has to be taught to learn and recognize the right customer. Use your time efficiently. There are times when a customer would want to discuss something. And if you and your salesman are attending to him, okay, let the salesman continue showing the line to his merchandiser. Sorry, okay, use your time efficiently. You sit down with the owner of the business and discuss what you need, and the other person can still go on showing the line to his team. Always be aggressive. Today that's the word. If you're not aggressive, you're lost. And always ask open-ended questions. If you ask questions where he doesn't, or he can get away with just replying in an yes or no, you are getting no information. You are getting no intelligence. An open-ended question is what is going to give you information, what is going to help you to improve yourself. And make notes. Make notes of what you discuss with your customers. At the end of the day, and I firmly believe in it, a small pencil, a short pencil, is far more important and effective than a long memory. So make notes and advertise on site, in and around your booth if possible. Make sure that people know the USPs. They may forget about the email you send them with 600 participants in a show and maybe him receiving 200 emails. He could well forget why he came to your booth. Make sure that he knows as soon as he sees you. Make sure that people whom you didn't catch, whom you didn't trap in the beginning, see it when they're walking by your booth. and make sure that your booth is designed so that they want to walk in. Most important, planning after. Follow up leads promptly. If you contact somebody 3 weeks or 4 weeks after the show and tell him that, oh, we met at the show and that I'm here, doesn't make sense. He could have forgotten you. Please remember, just like you met 100 people and that is why you took time to connect with him, he's met also 100 people and he may not remember you. So please make sure that you follow up leads promptly. The least you can do is 2 days after the show, send him a note. Today email is pretty easy. Send him an email saying thank you for visiting our show. Recap from the notes that you have made. Oh, this is what we discussed. And schedule the next meeting with him. And whenever you're following up leads, please prioritize. Take advantage of the enthusiasm. Maybe when you are taking a note, it's not a bad idea to put down stars against that customer's notes. Saying that, okay, this is 2 star, he was mildly interested, but this guy is 4 star, he was highly interested. So when you are doing the follow-up post the show, you see 4 stars and 5 stars and you address them straight away. That's what it's all about. Business today is a science, and the faster we learn that science, the better it is. It's not a science that requires the brains or the education of a rocket scientist. But all the same, it's a science. After the show, you have to review everything that was discussed with the customers. The design, the delivery, the quality, whatever comments came by you, discuss them internally in review meetings and then with the customers also. So what are the elements of success for a trade show? The first is planning. Second is goals. You need a strategy and you need a schedule. Once you have these 4 things in place, it may not be possible for you to do all of this on your own, and therefore you need external help. But get the help you need. If you need people to design your emailer, get somebody who designs your emailers. That money, and I don't think it's going to be big, it may be just a couple of thousand rupees, is going to be a big help to the image that you create when you're sending out the emails. If you need somebody to build your strategy, get someone. Okay, that may not be as cheap as designing an email, but that's going to help you to stay focused for the rest of the year. And when you build your strategy, build a plan and make sure that it is scheduled. It has to be scheduled optimally. You cannot delay things, but at the same time, don't set up schedules that are impossible. Your goals should be smart, and therefore, all these things are a necessary part of the event. So what are the communication aids? You have invitation letters which you can send by email. Well, fax is not really relevant today, but even if you need to, always build a response card. Always have an appointment sheet ready. Always have an agenda format. Plan for your client and make sure you give him the planning pad which will help him. Internal review format. Eco-analysis spreadsheet. This is very, very important. And at the end of it, a thank you letter. So, what is the economical letter? I think we've done all this. You have to plan for this. You have to do an economic analysis. You have to catch the show organizers to find out what is the attendance, kind of attendance that they are expecting. What was the attendance in the last show? That will help you to decide, well, you should do this even before you sign up for the show, because that will help you to decide whether you really need to be there or not. And then, in today's world, it is very, very easy and important to make sure that you get the right source for the data and that you mine the data in the right way. Why do people participate in trade shows? A lot of times, and I have seen it very often, is people get it wrong. Okay? They think they want to go there because the rest of the competition is there. They want to go there because they think the customer will then think that the company is not doing well by trying to save on money at the trade show. But that's not really the point. Get into a trade show not because what your competition is going to think, or because your people will think your company is not doing well. Get in there only because there is an equation. There is a product, there is a service, there is something that you want to announce to the world. So the go-no equation has to be based on economics, whether you want to do it, whether the kind of investment at the trade show is going to give you the kind of returns you want, whether there is a new product you want to introduce, whether there is something about the appearance of the company that you are changing. Maybe you are changing the brand logo, maybe you are changing the brand colors, maybe you are moving from just small jewelry to big jewelry, whatever it is. If there is something about the appearance of your company that is changing and you need to announce to the world, to display your design and merchandise, do you have something that is going to stand out? What are your objectives? Spell them out. And if traffic is your only objective, not a good enough reason, because you're going to be lost in the crowd. So decide. These are the things that you need to look into when you decide whether to go or not to go to a trade show. Carefully select which trade shows you will go to. The amount of trade shows today is humongous, and being everywhere doesn't always be warranted. So choose carefully. Are you targeting the Indian market? Well, IIGS is a must. Are you targeting the European market? Well, then maybe Basel or Vicenza is a must. But then, does Basel or does Vicenza give you the better ROI? So, you have to look and select at what shows you want to participate in. And a careful selection is done by some of the following factors. Look at the mix of visitors. Are the visitors the ones that interest you? Are the visitors the ones who would buy your product? What are your market segments? Are people who are in your market segment visiting? If you are not interested in dealing with retailers and you only want to meet distributors, is it really worth going into a JCK show in Las Vegas? May not be. So you need to check out the market segments. Look at the cost involved. Look at the reputation and success of previous exhibitions. And look at what programs and agendas are planned for the show. Pick the show that best meets your marketing requirements at the lowest possible cost. And after that, define your objectives and workload to establish the budget for that trade show. I have covered, and I hope that this part of it has interested you. If any of you has any further questions, you can put it down right now, or you can email us at info@gematlas.com. I thank you on behalf of GemAtlas and myself. Thank you for joining us on a Saturday morning, and we hope to see you again at our webinars. GemAtlas is going to hold a webinar every first Saturday of the month on various topics. There is a small survey that we have designed. I would request you to take a minute to fill it up, and also write to us about what topics interest you in the future. We would be more than happy to take up the topics and get somebody who can share and help you understand that topic better, enlighten you on the topic. You will try to get some such person to talk to you. GemAtlas, as I said, is a portal. Do go on and sign up for the portal. There are various categories under which you can participate. It is a subscription-based model, but if you are just interested in the knowledge aspect, GemAtlas posts articles every week on various topics. GemAtlas, as I said, is going to have this webinar every first Saturday of the month. sign up to begin with, maybe as a guest user, but do sign up so that you are in the loop and you know about every event that GemAtlas is coming up with. GemAtlas also has a monthly newsletter which we publish. I think that goes out on the last Friday of every month. Do look at it. I'm sure it will interest you. In fact, in the last newsletter that we sent out, there is an interview with Mr. Sanjay Kothari, which is talking about the future of this industry. Very interesting read. I suggest that you go and have a look at it. Thank you very much. I will wait now for your questions. If you enjoyed this, I request all the attendees to just click the hands up button on your screen, so I know that, well, you enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I have just received a question from Shishir Nevetia of Sunjwells. Shishir, thank you very much for joining us. Yes, do write to us at info@gematlas.com, and we shall send you a link to the PDF of this presentation. We also have designed samples of all the documents that we mentioned, of all the agenda sheets and the product sheets and the planning sheets that you can design. If you want a link to that also, we can send it. And thank you for your attendance, Sushil Babu. And Binoy, thank you for attending, and I appreciate your spending 1 hour with us, and I hope this was helpful and useful to you. Rushin, as I just told Shishir, I can give you a PDF of this webinar. Please write to us at info@gematlas.com. I have seen quite a few of these messages. Let me see. I can't promise you right now, but I will try and put up the PDF of this on some kind of a link on our website. So if you go and sign up on gematlas.com, I will make sure that you are able to access the PDF. Yes, Shairul, I see a lot of this thing. I'm not going to name all the names because that will then probably take up the balance of the 5 minutes I have. But yes, we will definitely make sure that this PPT is available to you. Oh, Sushil Babu, that's a good idea. Maybe I can convert it into a movie and put it up on YouTube. I will try and do that also. Thank you. Any other questions besides the request for PPTs?
Not yet.
Okay, so I see all the questions are actually about the PPT, and so I would request all of you to please take the survey, and especially let us know whether you like the content, because if you have no questions other than the PPT, that means either I made no sense or I made complete sense. And I do not believe that I could have made complete sense. I would have expected some things to be missed out. But then in future you can always write to me at GemAtlas at info@gematlas.com, or a lot of you know my personal email ID because I see that you are all friends whom we are connected with. You can write to me personally also. There is no challenge on that, and I will be more than happy to answer your questions. That's it. So shall we? Yeah, so we still have 5 minutes, and I think I've covered everything I had to say. So, well, I'm going to stay online for the next 5 minutes. So if anybody still thinks of a question, please feel free to ask them. I see Ramesh Bhai is online. Ramesh Bhai, I got your email yesterday, and I do hope that this okay, I have a question from Menosh. Is participating in too many trade shows more detrimental? Menosh, as I said in my presentation, each show that you participate in should have a goal. There should be a purpose to it. So if you are targeting that market or that segment of product, or you're wanting to expand and even study the market, it is a good idea to participate in the trade show. There is never anything like too many trade shows, provided it is justified by your business goals. Okay, now to take up the next part of your question, there are too many trade shows being conducted all over India. Yes, I agree with you. And therefore the people who participate in this are people who are interested in that region. Okay, as I said, a trade show is a great place to meet even your existing customers. Okay, so if you have, say, 15 customers in the south, and they are all expected, or most of them are expected to visit the Chennai show, it may be a good idea for you to participate in the Chennai show, because all 15 of them, or a majority of them, will be there, whom you will be able to meet in one single meeting with your entire line. Please remember, this is very important. A person who is carrying 1,000 or a 2,000 piece line cannot travel to all those 15 customers who are spread across various parts of South India with those 2,000 pieces. So if he goes there for the show, it is definitely going to be more cost effective than his sales team traveling to all those 15 customers. Also, here the principals can meet. As I said, more often than not, the decision makers or the bosses attend the trade shows, and you are also there. So it is the best time for you to meet 15 people. As a principal, as the decision maker, you may not always have the opportunity or the time to go and meet all 15 of them. So the trade show is not only about new product, but it is also about multiple benefits that you can achieve out of being there at a trade show. Now, if somebody is working only in the North Indian kind of designs and North Indian quality and has no intentions of creating product which is suitable to South India, then for him to participate in the Chennai show is a waste of time, money, energy, everything. I hope this answers your question. I would at this point since most of the users are still online, I would like to point out one of my big concerns. I am an independent consultant and have been studying this industry and working in the industry for over 25 years now. I think our challenge is that we are all focusing too much on the B2B aspect of the business, to the extent that we as a product category are not focused on the consumer. And as I think I said somewhere in my presentation, if the consumer is not buying from you, this entire activity is really useless. And therefore, I think the need of the hour is nice, strong, well-designed B2C shows that become a part of this trade show category. And of course, this is not the platform or the topic to talk about it, but we need to figure out some way to advertise as a category and make sure that people know about jewelry. Rushin, I'm looking at your question. I think it has to be a combination of both. As I was just explaining in response to Menos's question, trade shows provide first-hand information on a lot of things and an opportunity to meet with even existing clients with complete lines. Okay, so being at trade shows is important. It's not that you can do away with trade shows and only generate your business by making marketing trips. It'll be far more expensive. It'll be far more difficult. Try getting, supposing you've got 5 customers in Chennai. Try getting all 5 of them to meet you within a 2-day period. I think it might be pretty difficult. But if you're going at a show and all the customers know that the show is there and that you are going to be there, it's far easier to meet them. So trade shows is important, Rushin, and post that you would definitely need to sit belly to belly with the customer, and that's how business is going to start. All business, serious business, long-term business is only kicked off at the trade show. It is established by building relationships, which you will do over a period of time by meeting your customers 1:1. I hope that answers your question, Rushin. Okay, once again, thank you everybody. Please do write to us and let us know what you thought about the trade show, what are the topics you're interested in, and do sign up on GemAtlas. Thank you very much. Appreciate your being here on a Saturday morning. Cheers.